Okay, I have a question for you. Does anyone ever experience extreme thirst? But when I say extreme thirst, more than the norm, like constantly, you could drink a bottle or two of water and you're still constantly thirsty. Extreme fatigue, or even constantly, you feel like you're constantly going to the restroom throughout the night, throughout the day, just all the time. Well, these few things can be signs and symptoms of possibly having diabetes. Now, when it comes to diabetes, there's two different types of diabetes. First one is type 1 diabetes, which is usually known as juvenile diabetes because it's usually you're either born with it or you develop it during childhood. Now today there is 1.25 million children that are currently diagnosed with diabetes. And with type 1 diabetes is basically with type 1, we have what's called insulin in our bodies, and with type 1 diabetes, they don't produce insulin in their bodies. What insulin is a protein in your body that transports sugars into cells, which make energy. And when those sugars can't be transported into the cells, then we can't get any energy, so it messes everything up. So with the insulin, that's why we have to use the insulin to correct the sugars into getting into the cells. Now, with type 1 diabetes, there's a few things when it comes to monitoring. With type 1 diabetes, you have to have what's called a glucometer, and you usually check your blood sugars either 10 or more times throughout the day. And with type 1 diabetes, children usually have to count their carbs before eating to see how much insulin you're going to have to inject into your body. Now, this is all the time, whether they want breakfast, lunch, snack, any snack that they get, lunch, dinner, you have to inject some type of insulin into your body. Now, second type of diabetes is called type 2 diabetes, which is the most common type of diabetes because it usually occurs, now with type 2 diabetes, it's usually either inherited, because you have a family history, or it usually happens later on in life when you're older because either obesity or lack of exercise, stuff like that. With type 2 diabetes, it is preventable. Unlike type 1 diabetes, there's no cure for it because like I said, you're either born with it or it happens throughout your childhood. And it's not preventable. With type 2, it is very much so preventable. You just have to do some lifestyle modifications, eat healthy, diet and exercise, stuff like that, and you can actually prevent from having type 2 diabetes. Before having type 2 diabetes is you're in the pre-diabetic stage. That's why it is preventable. With type 2 diabetes, when it comes to monitoring, it's kind of the same thing like type 1 diabetes. You still check your blood sugars, but with type 2, you can either use insulin or you can just use an everyday pill, such as there's metformin and Janumet that you can use. So either or, you either have the insulin injectable or an everyday pill that you take. Now, with low and high blood sugars, typically with low blood sugars in diabetes, anything below 70 is considered low blood sugar, and everything above 200 is considered high blood sugar. Anything in between those things with diabetes is considered a normal stage. With diabetes, when you have low blood sugar, what you need to have handy with you at all times when you have low blood sugar is you need to have something sweet, something that's going to be able to boost up your blood sugar. Something sweet, candy, juice, a soda, something that's going to boost up your sugars. Now, when you have high blood sugars, you need to inject insulin or drink lots and lots of water. With those two things, that will either bring your high blood sugar low, or like I said, with low blood sugar, they will raise you up. So with those two things, that's what we have, type 1 diabetes and type 2. So next time you go to the doctor's office and you feel like you have any of those type of symptoms, go get a physical and we'll see what your glucose is. Thank you.